How's it going, ladies and bruises? I'm Bobby Sixkilla and welcome back to the VII Enigma. We have found our way to our new hideout, because we just blew the shit out of everything, and Bosk is after us, but apparently we've got a really safe place to stay because it's practically invisible, so I'm told. I guess we're about to find out just how invisible it is, but let's see what happens next. And they're going to tell us about our past, finally. After breakfast, the group gathers in the main room. I hope you've all rested and recovered. We will likely be here for a few days, but we can't be idle. We only have this short window to plan out our mission to find Pandora's box. Zyla, how did Levi's arm look when you patched it up? Lucky for him, it has only just grazed the top of his arm near his shoulder. It'll hurt for a bit, but I don't think it'll have any effect on him, or the team. I told you it was just a scratch. Great. That means we can effectively come out of that as good a position as we could hope to be. Elijah, it's now time for you to find out the full truth about your past. Or at least, everything we're aware of. We told you yesterday that Dr. Tara Evans was the inventor of the first Tempest receiver in 2044, and that the transmitter was later completed in 2059. Also, I know my voice is still funny from being sick. Apologies for that. There's not much I can do about it, I'm afraid. Let's just carry on showing. But I'm aware. I'm sorry. We left it at that yesterday, so you seem to be having some distress as we discussed it. Are you now ready to hear the full truth? Yes, I'm fine. When you mentioned her name just now, I did feel something, but it wasn't the pain I felt yesterday. I'm ready. Good. I'll continue then. As I was saying, the Tempest transmitter was completed in the original timeline in 2059, but it didn't say who completed it. You see, it wasn't Dr. Tara Evans who completed the transmitter. She only completed the receiver. Who was it then? It was you, Dr. Elijah Shaw. Me? I was involved in inventing the Tempest system? It's more accurate to say that it was the you of a different timeline, line 0, the original line where the pandemic decimated the world. Right, it was invented on a prior loop, so it was a different version of myself. Let me explain the full story. Dr. Tara Evans was a true prodigy. The word genius is thrown around a lot, but in her case, it was true. She came up with the startings of her Tempest field theory at 17 years of age and had the receiver completed at age 22. She was incredible. Once she finished the receiver, she then got to work on the much harder part, the transmitter. You, Elijah, were a promising talent of your own. Dr. Evans recruited you as you were barely finishing high school. I heard she hired you young because of the affinity she felt with her own story. She wanted to give other young talents an opportunity. This was at the time Dr. Evans was still completing her receiver, so you would have been recruited around 2043 when you were 18 years old. So I guess that means this is my history on this timeline too. From what I gather, things are always the same up to 2044, they only start diverging after that point in 2044 when the receiver was switched on, because of the Tempest messages changing the timeline. Is that right? Correct. So after this point, let's first talk about your past in line 0. Dr. Tara Evans continued to work on the transmitter until the pandemic hit in 2047. As the severity of the disease became known, they secured their facility for her and her team to continue their work in the hope to use the system to stop the pandemic. You were on that team, Elijah. From here on, we don't know all the details, but we will share the common information that Bosk disseminated through the media. Okay? During the pandemic, Dr. Tara Evans and her team continued to work hard on the transmitter. Unfortunately, in 2055 she contracted the virus. She left the project to be led by her closest protege, Dr. Elijah Shaw. The story from here is a famous one. It goes that Dr. Shaw, motivated to save the world and honour his colleague's legacy, worked tirelessly from that point and created a miracle at mankind's final hour. He managed to complete the transmitter, the miracle of 59. It's certainly not just a story either. The files and images of that world were sent back for all to see. So in the very first timeline, it was I who completed the transmitter, taking Dr. Tara Evans' discoveries to their fulfillment. Okay, that's all we know about Line 0 and everything we know about the pandemic and the invention of the Tempest system. I'd ask if you have any questions, but honestly, we don't know any more than that, so we probably couldn't answer them. If it's okay with you, let's switch and talk about your history in this current timeline, which we call Line Zeta. Sure. It isn't a lot to go off, but I guess nobody knows much about the past of a loop that's been erased. So, Line Zeta, is that the name of this current loop? Not so much the loop name, as it is our reference point. The latest loop which everyone exists in is always called the Line Zeta. Once the time is re-looped due to the sending of a Tempest message, the new loop would then be designated as the new line Zeta. Okay, that's simple enough. All you really need to know is the terms line 0 and line Zeta. They're the only ones we know about anyway. Only Bosk knows what has happened on the ones in between. That makes sense. Everything is built off the foundation of line 0. Only Bosk would know about any other tweaks that have happened to the timeline since. I guess all that matters now is the history of the timeline we're currently on. Okay, so what happened to me in this line Zeta once I got that message from the future? Well, from what we know, you alerted the right people, and it led to the formation of the Bureau. And once Bosk was formed, you better believe they did all they could to leverage you and your story in support of their plans. Dr. Elijah Shaw, the hero who saved the world. People love a hero, and went a long way to winning public support behind the vaccination effort too. It may seem cheap, but it was based on a true story, and telling it did save countless lives, so I can't blame them for that. But that wasn't the me from this timeline, was it? There was a different me. The real hero was Dr. Elijah Shaw from Line 0, who I guess no longer exists, erased by the message he sent to save the world? The me from this world is not a hero. He never invented anything or did anything heroic. I guess there's some truth to that. It didn't stop you becoming a celebrity basically overnight though. And it didn't stop Bosk from using you as the face of their campaign. From your perspective, you'd have just been a student assisting Dr. Tara Evans when your life changed. At 19 years old, you received a message that revealed a different you saved the world, one from 15 years in the future. Can't imagine how strange that would have been. How do you reconcile that being your alternate future at such a young age? Okay, so Bosk was using me to win support for the vaccination effort. What happened next? For a while, you were a bit of a celebrity, I guess. Everyone knew who you were, you became an icon. It wasn't obvious if you enjoyed the attention, though. After a few years, you seemed to fade into obscurity. There were a lot of rumours about you from that time, given you suddenly went off the grid. Some that you'd gone insane, others that you were working on a top-secret project. Nothing that seemed more than gossip, at least it appeared that way to us. It's hard to imagine what level of fame that level of fame could do to somebody. It's no wonder you laid low once you were able to. I would imagine it would be an easy situation to live with. Apologies, Elijah, but I'm going to have to put what happened next bluntly. In 2053, it was announced that Dr. Tara Evans had been killed in a suspected failed robbery. Tara died? You okay? Did you remember her? I'm not sure. I definitely don't feel okay. What is that image I keep seeing? Unfortunately, that's not all. Several months later, it was announced that you had died swimming, although a body was never found. A lot of people speculated this was actually a suicide, but that Bosk chose it to put it this way to preserve your legacy and their image. What? I'm sorry to have put so much on you so quickly. Unfortunately, the situation doesn't allow for much else. It's okay, but clearly I didn't commit suicide. I've been alive this whole time. How did I manage to fool Bosk? And what have I been doing? Why did I even do it? I have no idea what the answers are to those questions. Your guess is as good as mine. One other thing, if I'm still alive, do you think Dr. Tara Evans is still alive out there somewhere? Maybe we both will try to lay low. I highly doubt it. Your body was never recovered. It was a big day to memorialise you. But there was no casket and there was no body. Dr. Evans also got a day to memorialise her when she passed, but her body was present at the casket at the memorial. If anything is more likely, Bosk had planned to take you both out. Having two scientists with knowledge and ability to threaten their monopoly on the technology must have been convenient for them. It's just my speculation, of course, but I think it's quite likely Bosk was behind it. Well, that's all we know about you. We thought you were dead until we were given the instructions by the founder. Now we're all equally in the dark about everything that's going on. We will have to figure out everything else as we go. This is way too much to slap on me all at once. How do I even respond to all this? I think I might take a quick walk. I'm feeling a bit worked up. That's fine, Elijah. Take your time. I'll meet with the rest of the team now to get on top of inventory and other bits and pieces you aren't needed for. Why don't we all meet after lunch and all together and go through the important stuff? That should give you a bit of time. Thanks, I'll see you all then. Getting up slowly, Elijah sluggishly exits the cabin. Don't worry, Zyla, he'll be okay. I hope so. I just don't see how anyone could accept hearing all that at once, though. Doesn't really have a choice, does he? Like Iker said. The assistant approaches Beckett in the mid-morning with his completed report. Sir, I have the report on that object we found, if now is a suitable time. Now's okay, come in. The assistant bubbles into the room, speaking as he walks. I'll have to warn you that I probably don't have all the information you're wanting. Just tell me what you do have. I can judge for myself how I feel about it. Sorry, sir. My earlier suspicions ended up being correct. This technology has no parallel in this era, nor in the Tempest database. Again, sir, we could ask the Watchers for permission to view the restricted files to see if there's anything the 12 are aware of. I doubt that even the Watchers are at liberty to view those files, let alone give me the permission to view them. I think that's a dead end. Did you really come here only to tell me that? What did your inspections of the actual object find? The composition is made from readily available materials, but the complexity of design and construction is incredibly intricate. Perhaps the most complicated bit of technology ever built. Okay, so what is it? I can tell you for certain that it is based on a human brain. The structures within this technology, although not identical to the neurons of the brain in terms of the material elements, are almost identical in the electrical potentials, mechanisms, and networks. Are you saying that this is a synthetic brain? That was what I was thinking at first, but the more investigation I did, I found there is no way that this is a synthetic brain. What could it be then? Well, a synthetic brain is intended to be used in replacement of a natural biological brain, for whatever reason that may be. This object here was never intended to be used as a brain. It isn't even the perfect construction to be used for that purpose. I think this had a very different purpose. Out with it. What are your speculations? I think this is a digital interface for brain data transference. What? Explain what its purpose is. How it would be used. Again, this is speculative, but it seems to play a function of a converter to take information from standard digital information and turn it into brainwave data as your brain would normally see it. So you can go from brain to computer and computer to brain. You can plug me into the matrix and upload information into my brain so I don't have to learn it the hard way because I'm not very smart. Okay, so I'll explain it like this. Let's say I want to load some files into your brain. Can I do that? No, of course not. Why not? Because my brain can't read digital signals. This isn't a computer. I mean, it is, but it's a biological computer. Exactly. I would need to find some kind of way to transfer the data into brainwave signals. Neural data. Or in other words, into an analog signal native to my brain. This signal could then be transferred into the brain in a way that my brain would understand. Are you saying this device is meant to be able to convert digital files into a signal that can be absorbed into the brain? As crazy as it sounds, sir, yes. I think that's what this was intended to do. I do get the impression that this item may not be complete though. What makes you say that? As impressive as it is, it doesn't come close to approaching the level of complexity of the human brain. My assumption is a device like this would only partially work, if at all. Of course, I can't be sure of anything. Is there a way you can test what data is on it? There is no data on it anymore. After a computer of some type feeds digital information, the device converts it to be stored only as the neural brainwave signals. It needs to be housed in a physical object because that is the native form of these brain signals. They're connected to their associated electrical neuron networks. So once the brain data is used from the sphere, it's gone for good. Is there anything else you can tell me about it? It seems to be incredibly limited in use. As a huge problem I can see with it is that each brain has a different physical configuration of neurons. Put simply, this device has been designed specifically to work with one person's brain, or it won't work at all. One device cannot be built to work for multiple people. For the level of complexity it takes to build, that makes this device incredibly impractical. I see. Does the neuron pattern of the device match the scan we took from the prisoner? Yes, sir, it does. So Dr. Shaw has been in the shadows working on some sophisticated technology whilst we thought him dead? Though for what purpose could this be? Was it his intention to use this to defy Bosk? I would have thought a man of his intelligence would be smarter than trying something that stupid. And what good would it be having the ability to turn digital data into neural signals? That's why he's got no juju up here. Brain empty. Brain empty because he transfer out onto thing into a computer or something. I don't fucking know. You know, brain empty. Perhaps he's been experimenting with augmenting his mind's capabilities with AI technologies. That could be one use for it. Of course, this would be an extreme violation against Bosk's regulations concerning AI. Well, that really is getting very intriguing. I want a final confirmation that the prisoner was indeed Dr. Shaw. Report to me as soon as any new information becomes available. That's all for now. Yes, sir. After the assistant leaves, Beckett leans back in his recovery chair and looking at the ceiling mumbles to himself. I wonder what you're trying to achieve by playing dead all this time, Dr. Shaw. Later that day in the vibrant afternoon light, the group gathers back in the main room of the cabin. Okay, let's talk through the files we have and our plan to find Pandora's box. You okay now, Elijah? Yeah, I'll be alright. The fresh air did me good. Don't worry, I won't hold you back. That's good to hear. Jasper, give us the rundown on the files we recovered. Well, to start with, we did a full transfer on the files on the Tempest unit. Not just those the Founder sent. It may take me some time to look through them all to see if there are any old files that may yield some helpful info. So for now, we just go through the files sent by the Founder. Fair enough. Those old files may contain clues as to where the machine came from in the first place. I hope so. Okay, so the files the Founder sent us are fairly straightforward. Firstly, there is a video he requested to only be played after we got the identifier sequence from Pandora's box. What do you think we should do with that? Should we honour his request? An awkward silence fills the room before Amelia raises her voice. I'm not gonna lie, him saying not to open it yet just makes me want to open it even more. Ironic, because that's just like Pandora's box. The curiosity just makes us want to open it all the more, but we know how badly that story ended. I wonder if it really is a test of some kind. Well, I know the Founder has proven himself, but I'd still be lying if I said all this secrecy didn't rub me the wrong way. Maybe we should watch it and decide for ourselves what we think the Founder is playing at. What do you think, Elijah? Oh man, Elijah responds. One of them's gonna kill us. We have to open it though, right? Even if it kills us. Right? We have to. Open it now. We should open it now. There's no telling what might happen down the line. Whereas we have the chance to watch it now. You make a good point, Elijah. I tend to agree. Ika, you make the final call. My hunch is that we should trust the Founder. He has led us this far, after all. However, if the whole group thinks we should open it now, then I'll go with that. If you think we should open it now, raise your hand. One by one, everyone in the group raises their hands, leaving Ika as the sole person in disagreement. Okay then, it seems the group has spoken. I'll go along with it. Jasper, open the file, please. Sure thing, here we go. Everyone watch the screen. Jasper positions the screen in view of everyone to see the message. Hello. If you're watching this video, it means you have opted to open these message files before arriving at Pandora's box. The files I sent were encrypted with a geosynchronous technology, and this message has been triggered in response to the system flagging that you never arrived at your destination. What? How do you manage to hide that level of encryption? Unfortunately, it looks like we won't see a miracle take place on this loop. As I said in my last message, success and failure was dancing on a knife edge. Perhaps it was foolish to expect this to go any other way. Now that this geoflagging has been triggered, you'll find the files I sent you have auto-deleted. No, it won't take my commands. I'm sorry we couldn't trust one another to see our miracle born into the world. If we can't trust each other, then I can't risk an even greater evil being born through what would come next. I'm sorry, but this is the end of our journey. I hope you find a way to live out your remaining days in peace, even if freedom is now unattainable. Goodbye. I knew it was going to kill us. I'm surprised the tape didn't explode and kill us. The tape will now self-destruct. Digging pieces of fucking TV out of our face. Alright, anyway. Reload. We should wait. We should wait until after we reach Pandora's box. We only survived yesterday because we trusted his instructions. Yeah, that's what I thought at the beginning. Whilst I'm still not sure about the Founder's intentions, I think it'd be the wrong decision to deviate from his plan at this moment. I agree. As tempting as it might be to open the file now, I believe we should trust the Founder's process. I'm sure there are reasons we don't yet understand that are at play. Is anyone opposed? Well, I'm super curious, but if that's what you think, we'll go with it. The rest of the group nods in agreement. Okay, well, that's decided. Continue please, Jasper. Alright. Jasper opens up the relevant files on his tablet as he begins to explain to the group what they're seeing. In the folder with the next message from the Founder, there seems to be some kind of program file to go along with it. It is an unusual bit of coding. I can only assume that the message will explain what it will be used for, because I have no idea what it is. I see. If it seems to be paired with the message, then I'm guessing this is probably the case. In the other folder, there's the info to help us get to Pandora's box. Firstly, there's the location, which is a simple coordinate. Where is it? Looks like the location is on the lower slopes of the mountains to the north of the city. About a 4-hour journey from here via car. I can't see anything much on the map here though, which is strange. It must be hidden somewhere then. After all, it has to be well hidden to keep Boss from becoming aware of its existence. Oh man, it's freezing up that way. Oh, a big man like you scared of the cold? I'm not scared, it's just uncomfortable. The elevation really does kick up sharply in that area. It'll be significantly colder than here. What is the elevation of the location? Around 1600 meters. Yeah, it's a pretty easy journey via car though. At this time of the year, there could be snow too, depending on the weather. I see. We have to make a decision if we're going to make the trip or if someone will go to retrieve it while the rest stay here. On that point, along with the coordinates, there's also a supplies and equipment list the founder provided. From the looks of things, it seems the founder is expecting us all to go, and spend a decent amount of time up there. Let me take a look. Jackets, food. Sure does look that way, doesn't it? There's also some additional materials and parts he wants us to take. Looks like he's planning us having either build or repair a device of some sort while we were there. I can't tell what from the parts list though. We don't have all those supplies on hand. Looks like we'll have to make a trip back to the city to get the rest. Very risky trying to make a trip to the city right now. That's one way to get yourself killed. That's true, but there won't be anywhere else to get the parts from. We'll have to find a way. We don't want to rush into this. We will first have to come up with a plan of how to get the supplies without getting caught. Amelia, I trust you recovered the vehicle like we discussed? Sure did. It's hidden under some shrubs in the woods, about 1 kilometer from here. Good. We'll need it for our journey north to Pandora's Box. We can't risk driving in the car to the city and losing it, so the journey to the city may have to be on foot. Leave it with me. I'll come up with a plan for tomorrow. Right. I'll write out a list of items to buy and where to get them. I'll try to pick shops less likely to result in being captured. Sounds like a plan. Well, I have a lot to prepare for tonight, so I'll see you all out next at dinner. Man, they have quite the spread every time, don't they? Damn. Later that evening, and dinner is served. Audible gasps sound as they behold a spread of food before them like none had ever seen. Is that what you meant by when you said you had a lot to prepare, Ika? Ika, I know you love cooking and all, but just how much of our food supplies did you use on this meal? Only what was required to achieve the necessary outcome. In other words, all of it. I dare you could call out cooking Amelia a necessary outcome. Well, I must say I'm flattered that you put in all this effort for me, Ika, but I won't fall for you so easily. Synthetic fish, pork, even veal curries with vegetables? This is way too much, Ika. I ain't complaining. This looks amazing. What do you think, Elijah? Incredible. Can I start eating? Yes, begin. Everyone in the group loads their plates full. The only sounds to be heard during the feast being chewing and the clanging of cutlery. Nobody allows words to get in the way of their next mouthful. After some time, the clattering of eating slows in its intensity until the meal is complete. Leaning back, Levi rubs his belly with a big smile on his face and exclaims, "Oh man, I haven't had a feast like that in years. Maybe forever. Can you do that more regularly, Ika?" If we want to run out of our supplies, it'd be a great way to do it. Okay, it's time for the result. Huh? I must know if I succeeded in my objective. You mean if you're better than Amelia? Come on, man, don't make us do that. The food was great, let's just leave it at that, yeah? Yeah, great food. They still don't want to say to your face that mine was better. Amelia teases Ika while the group tries to avoid being dragged into taking sides. During the exchange, Zyla leans over to Elijah and whispers, "The food's done. And it's about to get heated now. Now's a good time to escape. Want to slip out for a drink tonight?" Huh? Zyla reveals a small bottle of spirits from her bag. I made sure I left some room in my pack. Come on, let's go. Oh, okay, sure. Get our drink on. Zyla and Elijah sit at the edge of a nearby lake with a cup in hand, looking out over the shimmering water and bathed in moonshine. How do you like it? After taking a sip, Elijah struggles to not let the intensity show on his face. It's pretty strong. I guess you went a heavy drinker then. Well, I suppose that's one way to find out about yourself. True. So you have to admit it beats being back there with this squabbling. Has Ika always been like that? As in, does he seriously not understand when everyone's joking? He's always been straightforward, and can be a bit out of touch with social cues. He does understand more than he lets on, though. What do you mean? Well, back there he fully understood that everyone was joking with him. He actually cares so much about his cooking that he gets fixated and it cuts through any other concerns. You get what I mean? Kinda. Still was nice. Some good food and a bit of light-hearted talk goes a long way. It does. I think that's one reason why Ika likes to cook so much. In that moment, he can bring joy to people. He can make this world a little more bearable. Nights like tonight, food, a few jokes, something light-hearted. Without it, I don't think we'll be able to get through everything. In a strange way, even in Ika's serious demeanour, he's actually very socially aware. She's right, tonight was the first time I was truly able to relax since it started. I see. It worked, well, it helped me at least. Silence engulfs him again as a gentle breeze shakes the trees before their eyes. Elijah breaks the tension to ask a question that had been on his mind for some time. The other day, Ika said that the two of you were together from the beginning of the group. Have you known each other for a while then? Are you guys like a couple? You asked it so awkwardly. No, we aren't a couple, but we do go a long way back. We're more like siblings than anything, I guess. Good. You want to hear the tale, I'm guessing? Well, only if you wanted to. It's not exactly an uplifting story, but I don't mind telling you. Growing up, we were both part of the same orphanage. It was a facility for special cases, in other words, mostly kids whose parents went against Bosk in some way. How old were you when you joined the orphanage? Around 6 or 7, I'm not sure exactly. One day my parents just never came home. I slept by myself that night, terrified. I remember crying all night, just wishing them to come home. The next morning I recall hearing a car approaching. I thought they'd come back. I rushed to the door thinking it was them, but on the other side was a pair of agency workers to take me away to the orphanage. I'll never forget that sinking feeling after opening that door. Did you find out what happened to your parents? No. Although I know they had died, they made that much clear. The agency had no hope for us kids, and particularly given our backgrounds, they didn't want us to be too highly educated, in case we caused problems for them down the line. I remember the place was so boring. It was essentially a holding pen until we were old enough to be put into manual labour for the rest of our lives. Sounds terrible. So you met Iker in there, yeah? What were the other kids like? It was pretty bad, honestly. The kids in there were all messed up, just like me. Angry at everything, with nobody to take it out on. And then add in the boredom, and it was a recipe for disaster. The orphanage staff would mostly turn a blind eye to things. I don't really want to get into the things that happened to me there, to be honest. However, things turned around for me when I met Iker. Like the rest of us, Iker lost his parents because of Bosk, and he had every reason to be just like every other kid in there. Like there was something different about him. Zyla's lips curl into a subtle smile. One day when a group of kids were beating me up, I'll never forget it, Iker came over and went on a huge rant to them about right and wrong. He had a huge sense of justice that he so thoroughly believed. Honestly, it was a bit over the top, but it felt like a light in the dark, in that dark place. Zyla smiles as she looks to the ground beneath her feet. Iker was a little older than most of the kids that would target me. He became my shield in that place as we grew close, like he was my older brother, and I was his little sister. He reminded me how powerful doing the right thing was, even when everyone around you was wrong. He might be awfully serious the whole time, but he really is an incredible person. We just got each other somehow and did everything together, even though we were quite different. We've been close ever since. The sound of the breeze whistles past their ears as Zyla looks out in reminiscence. After everything that has happened, she's still so strong. You'd never think she'd been through all that from the way she acts. I do appreciate it, but I have to ask why you invited me out here anyway. I must be pretty boring to talk to. It's not like I have anything to talk about. Well, I guess it's because you looked alone. I know how much it sucks to feel alone. Well, I guess pity's better than nothing. It isn't just pity. Although I'd be lying if I said he didn't seem like a lost puppy. She smiles at Elijah, and her contagious look also brings a smile creeping onto Elijah's face. But beyond that, I decided I wanted to be someone to bridge those gaps I see around me, like Iker did for me. I know firsthand how significant the seemingly little things can be to changing someone's life. A small gesture of kindness can change the path of someone's life entirely. Iker's example means that much to you, huh? It does, but it goes beyond him. There is something to living like that, some light in it. What do you mean? I don't know really. It's just a feeling I have. One thing I do know is that Bosk is pulling us far away from it, as their control further distances people from one another. Those cold fractures that run through our lives, which Bosk has turned into fissures, I won't allow them to control me. I won't give them the satisfaction of ruining me, or those I care about. I guess in some way it's my own act of rebellion. It's what my parents and Iker both taught me. So your kindness is an act of rebellion, huh? I guess it really must suck out there for that to be the case. Well, I did have a weird upbringing. In a good family, or a circle of friends, I'm sure it's much better. It just feels like the distance between people is huge, you know? People stick to their own and allow Bosk to deal with everything for us. Charity, caring for outsiders, these things died ages ago, replaced by a state of control, as people bury their heads in the sand. Everyone is conditioned to a state of fear, and outsiders are viewed as potential danger. I guess it's a hangover from the pandemic years, but Bosk has leveraged it. People rely on Bosk for everything now. So that's why you can't accept Bosk? Well, I'm glad you're different to the rest then. You've certainly made my night a lot better. It sounds like the world needs more people like you in it. I think people are like that when they aren't being controlled or conditioned to think otherwise. At least, that's what I'm choosing to believe. She really is incredible. Elijah looks upon Zyla with admiration, impressed and attracted to her strength, forged in the midst of her pain. A sense of care and of faith she carries, born not of ignorance, but from hardship and experience, impacts Elijah greatly. Well, I guess I better help you crush those bastards and get things back to the way they should be. Zyla looks to Elijah, the moonshine radiating behind her as she gives a radiant smile. Okay, let's do it. I'm relying on you. So you can't back down now. Wouldn't dream of it. Well, speaking of dreaming, I'm gonna head off to bed. It's been a big day. Yeah, it really has. Good night, Zyla. See you in the morning, Elijah. Now alone, the pale light of the moon feels to change its tone as the stillness gives rise to his anxieties. I'm sure glad Zyla is here. Things would be far too tense without her. And it seems clear to me now from what she was saying that Bosk really do need to be stopped. What do I make of everything I found out today, though? Am I the one who completed the Tempest transmitter in a now erased timeline? I have no recollection of anything, yet apparently I was quite famous as a result. Wrong. This is wrong. What is this feeling I keep having towards it? Something doesn't sit right. Shouldn't I remember something? Anything? Still, I trust they're all telling me the truth, at least as they know it. As they said, now we're all equally in the dark about everything. The founder was the one who I knew I was alive, which clearly turned out to be true. I guess that makes it unlikely that he's connected to Bosk. They're the ones chasing me after all. The only thing that makes sense is that he is either genuine about trying to stop Bosk or has some other motive. Either way, it seems his knowledge will help us, at least for now. The rest I guess we'll find out as we approach Pandora's box. As for me, who knows why I faked my death? Was it trying to protect some secret? Is it connected to that orb? I would say so. And given I'm the only one who can open Pandora's box, what does that mean? Elijah gives himself a correctional grimace. No, I can't get carried away thinking I might be some kind of hero. I need to take this one step at a time. So for now, I must keep it simple and focus on making it to Pandora's box. Well, that seems like the perfect place to wrap this episode up, don't you think? I think it... Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely indeed. Interesting. What if the founder is like him from the past or from the future? From the future. Maybe it's him from the future. I don't know. Fuck, I don't know. You never know. You know, it could be like, what was it? Infamous. The first Infamous game. That was a great storyline, Infamous. Where you were actually... shouldn't spoil it, I suppose, if you haven't played Infamous. Although it is very, very old at this point. But whatever. Very interesting. Very interesting. Can't wait to get back to it. Hope you guys are enjoying it as much as I am. Thanks for watching. Thanks for getting out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.